There are places in the world that feel like they were pulled right out of a dream. And then there's Hobbiton, a place that is a dream come to life. Nestled in the serene countryside of Matamata in New Zealand, this magical movie set began as a vision for Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. Today, it's a real life portal to Middle Earth, welcoming visitors from all corners of the world. Our journey began as we arrived at the Shire's Rest, where a warm New Zealand breeze greeted us. Excitement filled the air as groups of fellow fans gathered, ready to step into the world of hobbits. From the very moment the tour bus rolled through the countryside, it felt as though we were already crossing into another realm. Ooh, we're in front of the Hobbit house. Let's go inside, right? The tour started with a short introduction to the fascinating history of Hobbiton. In 1998, this idyllic farmland was transformed into the Shire after a scout in a helicopter spotted its rolling hills, perfect for Tolkien's world. What began as temporary set pieces for The Lord of the Rings became permanent fixtures during the filming of The Hobbit, ensuring fans could visit Middle-earth for generations to come. As we stepped onto the well-trodden paths, every turn revealed another charming hobbit hole, each uniquely crafted with its own personality. In total, 44 hobbit homes were built across the set, each with its own distinct character and story. Some were simple with small, rustic doors and overgrown gardens, while others were larger and more elaborate, painted in cheerful blues, reds, and yellows. They featured curved wooden shutters, ivy trailing along the rooftops, and chimneys that puffed faint trails of smoke into the crisp air. The attention to detail was astonishing. Barrels of apples, tiny wheelbarrows, stacks of firewood, and even clotheslines with miniature laundry gave the illusion that hobbits were just out of sight. The landscape itself was like a living painting. The smell of blooming flowers mingled with the faint scent of wood smoke from the chimneys. Birds chirped melodically, and the soft rustle of the breeze through the trees was a perfect soundtrack to our journey. Brightly colored flowers lined every pathway, and lush green grass blanketed the hills. Across the lake, the reflection of the Green Dragon Inn danced on the water's surface, adding to the surreal beauty. The scenery felt almost otherworldly. Gentle streams wound their way through the hills, reflecting the blue sky above. Butterflies flitted among the vibrant marigolds, daisies and lavender that lined the paths. Trees with gnarled branches and golden leaves stood like ancient guardians of the land. The soundscape was equally enchanting. The gentle chirping of birds, the distant rustle of leaves, and the occasional soft bleating of sheep grazing in the fields. Every corner of Hobbiton seemed alive, like a story unfolding before our eyes. Hey guys. The 44 hobbit holes scattered across the hills, each seemed to emerge naturally from the earth, as though they had been there for centuries. Some were tucked into steep inclines, their chimneys barely visible above the grassy mounds, while others were nestled by winding paths that curved like ribbons throughout the Shire. Each step felt like walking deeper into a fairy tale, where reality melted away into pure imagination. It's one thing to watch the Shire on screen, but to stand in the middle of it, to breathe it in, and see it unfold around you was a feeling beyond words. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and faint wood smoke curling up from hidden chimneys. It was really a place where time seemed to stand still, and every corner begged to be explored. It was as if the Shire itself had been crafted not just for the hobbits, but for dreamers like us to wander and wonder. Each Hobbit home seemed to tell a story. There were bakeries, as evidenced by the small flour sacks and wooden spoons on the doorstep, a beekeeper's house with tiny wooden hives and buckets of honey outside, and even a cheesemaker's house with wheels of cheese carefully arranged on a small table. The creativity and craftsmanship behind each home were simply breathtaking, making every step feel like you're stepping into a storybook. I seriously want to watch this movie again.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. Have you read the book about Frodo?
I don't know. I saw it.
As we continued onto the hilly pathways, we couldn't help but feel like we were shrinking to the size of hobbits. The paths wound their way through rolling emerald green hills, dotted with clusters of wildflowers swaying in the breeze. The well-worn trails, lined with uneven cobblestones and dirt, gave the sense that countless hobbits had walked them before. Occasionally, the path would climb steeply, offering breathtaking views of the Shire below. Small, round doors peeking out from grassy mounds, garden patches bursting with color, and ponds shimmering under the midday sun. Then we came to the crown jewel of Hobbiton, Bag End, the home of Frodo and Bilbo Baggins. Perched high on a hill with a sweeping view of the Shire below, it felt like the heart of this enchanting land. Above it stood the magnificent oak tree, a masterpiece of illusion with its hand-painted artificial leaves swaying gently in the breeze. The creativity it must have taken to design something so lifelike left us in awe. From this vantage point, you could see the entire Shire, the ponds glimmering like glass, the chimneys puffing soft trails of smoke, and the Green Dragon Inn reflected perfectly in the water. As the tour went on, I found myself wishing it would never end. The surroundings had a way of making you forget about the rest of the world. It wasn't just the beauty of the place, it was the simplicity of it. Walking the paths of Hobbiton, surrounded by nature's perfection, I felt an unfamiliar peace, as though all of life's complexities melted away. This wasn't just a movie set. It was a reminder of what it means to be present, to enjoy the small things, and to imagine a life immersed in simplicity and natural beauty. What do you think so far?
This place is pretty awesome.
Yes, it is. The front yards of the Hobbit holes were perfectly scaled down, giving them a whimsical charm that feels straight out of a storybook. Mailboxes painted in soft pastel tones and marked with the names of imaginary Hobbit residents stood at the edges of paths, as though awaiting letters from far-off friends. Tiny picket fences surrounded gardens, overflowing with sunflowers, herbs, and vegetables, hinting at the simple, self-sufficient lives of their owners. Stepping inside a fully furnished Hobbit hole was like walking into the pages of a storybook. The moment we crossed the rounded threshold, it felt as though we'd been transported to another time, another way of living. The interior was warm and inviting, with low ceilings that made you instinctively duck as you moved through the space. The rounded doorways, thick wooden beams, and textured plaster walls gave the feeling of a place that had been lovingly crafted for decades. The furniture was rustic yet full of charm. Worn wooden tables with tiny nicks and scratches that told their own stories. Armchairs covered in patchwork cushions and footstools tucked neatly beside them. Shelves were packed with leather-bound books, their spines embossed with faded gold lettering, as though each one contained an epic tale waiting to be discovered. Tiny pots and pans hung by the fireplace, gleaming faintly in the soft light of the crackling fire. The hearth, framed by a brick arch, radiated warmth, and the faint glow of embers danced across the room. The smell was intoxicating. Burning wood mingled with a comforting aroma of fresh bread, as if someone had just pulled a loaf from the oven. A faint hint of herbs, perhaps rosemary or thyme, added to the sensory delight. On a small table, a teapot and two mugs sat waiting as though the Hobbit who lived there had just stepped out for a moment and would be back to join us for tea. Every detail was perfect, from the tiny candlesticks dripping with wax to the hand-woven rugs that softened the wooden floors. A basket of knitting lay beside one chair, while a pipe rested casually on a side table, adding to the lived-in feel. The walls were adorned with small, hand-drawn sketches of landscapes and flowers, giving the impression that whoever lived here was both an artist and an appreciator of life's small beauties. The light in the room was soft and golden, streaming in through the round windows that framed the green hills outside like a painting. It was a space designed for comfort and simplicity, a place where time seemed to slow down and every moment could be savored. You could feel the love and care in every detail, from the tiny embroidered cushions to the well-worn chairs that seemed to welcome visitors as if they were old friends. It was more than just a room. It was a sanctuary, a testament to the Hobbit, their way of life, simple, cozy, and filled with a quiet kind of joy that made you want to linger forever.
Over here? Thank you.
The walls seemed to breathe history, their imperfections hinting at the countless moments of life that had unfolded within them. Perhaps the laughter of the hobbits, sharing stories by the fire, the clink of teacups during elevenses, or the quiet rustle of pages as someone read by the candlelight. The craftsmanship was evident in every detail, from the finely hewn edges of the beams to the small deliberate niches carved into the walls, housing tiny keepsakes, jars of herbs, and wooden figurines. The design of the space was as much about function as it was about beauty. Every corner felt deliberate yet unpretentious, as though it was meant to be used, cherished, and lived in. The warm tones of the wood, paired with the soft and even glow of candlelight, and the flicker of the hearth, created a sense of timelessness, making you feel as though you had stepped into a place where life moved slower, more deliberately, and with a sense of peace that's rare in the modern world. Stepping inside a Hobbit home feels like entering a timeless sanctuary. The low ceilings, rounded doorways, and handcrafted details create a warm and inviting atmosphere that embraces simplicity and imperfection. Every element, from leather-bound books to pots by the fireplace, reflects thoughtful care and practicality, blending beauty and function seamlessly. The cozy glow of the fire and the scent of burning wood and fresh bread evoke a sense of peace, reminding visitors of the joy in slowing down and savoring life's small moments.
Overall, it was a fascinating experience and I highly recommend
Oh gosh, I just have to watch the movie again to kind of give me some recollection of the events. What do you think?
This place
What
was
say
awesome.
you?
Huh?
What say you?
I say you says yes.
A Hobbit home isn't just a space, it's a philosophy of living humbly, appreciating nature, and creating a home that nurtures both the body and spirit.
On a rated
It leaves you with a longing for a simpler, more connected way of life where every detail reflects care and intention. The path of the Green Dragon Inn was as enchanting as the destination itself. It wound gently through the heart of the Shire, bordered by the lush greenery and bursts of colorful flowers. The cobblestones underfoot felt weathered and uneven, as if countless hobbits had walked this very path on their way to share a pint and a tale. Along the way, the landscape unfolded like a living painting, rolling hills blanketed in vibrant green, tiny streams trickling under wooden bridges, and trees with twisting branches that seemed to beckon you forward. The air was filled with a peaceful stillness, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze and the occasional chirp of birds. Lanterns hung on posts along the path, their intricate designs casting dappled shadows in the fading light. As we walked, the Shire seemed to come alive around us, with the scent of wood smoke and the faint sound of cheerful voices growing stronger with every step. Reflected perfectly in the still waters of the nearby pond, the inn looked like it had been plucked straight from a fairy tale. The anticipation grew with each step, and the inviting aroma of freshly baked bread and hearty ales greeted us, drawing us closer. By the time we reached the inn's arched doorway, it felt as though we'd completed a journey not just through Hobbiton, but into a world where imagination and reality met seamlessly. As the tour came to an end, we took one last look at this enchanting land. Hobbiton isn't just a movie set, it's a work of art, a tribute to storytelling, and a testament to the power of imagination. The creativity, commitment, and care that went into building this fairy tale world are palpable in every corner, every detail. For us, it will always be Middle Earth, a world that we were lucky enough to walk through, even if just for a day. It's a place that stays with you, a memory of serenity, wonder, and a little bit of magic. We hope to return one day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more.